We would like to open this event, The Future of Innovation, by warmly welcoming you all. The interest is far beyond any of our expectations and hopes, and we're truly happy to see so many here today. We're gathered here to discuss an important topic, but also to celebrate a new book, Challenging the Innovation Paradigm. We, the editors of the book, will be your hosts today. My name is Beata Segercrantz, and my editor colleagues are Pernilla Gripenberg and Karl-Erik Sveiby. We also have several guests here today who we will introduce later, but first Karl-Erik will say a few words about the background of our project.
Well, this event is a result of a Christmas party about 2.5 years ago, when Beata, Pernilla and myself, we came to discuss a topic. Why don't we ever see anything negative about or non-positive about innovation? Innovation is always portrayed as good. Is this really what it is, or is there a possibility of that there are innovations that are not good, or that the consequences of innovation are not good? We started this project in our and over the course of the years we met actually several people who were interested in the same type of issues, and they became engaged in the research project, and which we are presenting today. During our journey, we also encountered very many definitions of innovation. One of the most common one is one you probably all know, which is it's an invention of any kind and the process to commercialize it. So that's a fairly neutral and non-specific definition. And on the net and in all kinds of discussion forums, we start to see that it can be a lot. Business model innovation, market innovation, social innovation, process innovation. It seems like innovation has become everything to everybody, everywhere. Even green innovation. That's the latest, by the way. And if we look at what is offered in terms of information, information is portrayed as a good, cool, inevitable, creative, successful, jazzy, urgent competition towards the future, which is now, of course, with the innovators in the lead. And if you think this is confusing, there are, at latest count, 37,866 books on Amazon.com on innovation. And many of those books tell us that we have to innovate, or else we will die, or perish. We will also innovate, or otherwise we will evaporate. My personal favorite here is actually innovate or incinerate, that is, burn to ashes. Here in Finland we are a bit more restrained though. Here we innovate or fade away slowly. Or maybe innovate or wither away. But banks, they will have to innovate or die, that's for sure. So let's look at the banks. These are 6 of the most innovative banks in the world. They all used a new innovation, the financial technology of securitization, to develop products. They went bankrupt or were bailed out by taxpayers in the EU and the USA in 2008. Also, the two original innovators of securitization were saved by US taxpayers. That's the semi-governmental agencies Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. So as regards banks, it's something like innovate and die, unless you're saved by the taxpayers. As a consequence of these revolutionary effects on the financial system, the effect of this innovation securitization, the global financial system crashed. And so innovation, even if it wasn't the cause of the global financial crisis, it certainly was one of the factors that drove it. When I've been discussing this or talking about consequences of innovation, it has become a fairly emotional topic for quite a few people. I want to now to emphasize from the start that we are not against innovation. None of us, I don't think any of the authors of our research project really is against innovation per se. All we're saying is that innovation is a very powerful driving force of change in society. And precisely therefore we have to be a bit careful, because innovation has unintended consequences. By the definition of innovation, it's new, and it hasn't been explored before. And some of those consequences are desirable, the ones that we, of course, intend with our innovations. And some are undesirable. You could call the financial crash system undesirable, to say the least. But notice it's for both innovators and society are affected by these. And with our research project and with the report that we are presenting today, we argue that we need a more nuanced perspective on innovation in the future. And that is our argument here. And I now hand over to Pernilla.
And this is the cover of our book. And we are a group of people who have the same concerns as Karl-Erik already expressed. And in this book, we aim to contribute to give a more balanced view on innovation. How could we balance these unintended consequences? And we are 16 authors from 9 countries, and many of us are here today. So please, authors of the book, would you stand up so we can all see who are the authors? And all the authors have a star on their name tag, so you can have a chat with them during the break if you'd like to.
Now we have the honor to present the rector of Hanken School of Economics, Professor Eva Liljeblom, who will welcome you to this event. Please, Eva, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I will not take much time from it, but since you're here all gathered at Hanken, I must of course say a few words about the place where this seminar is held. Hanken is now, after all the university mergers in Finland, the only independent business school, and that's what we aim to stay as. We also, according to our strategy, Hanken 2020, we see ourselves as a research-based university, as an international university or business school, and as a business school in close cooperation with the industry and the business sector. And a few words about these 3 issues. Research-based business school means that we have many incentives to encourage high-quality research. High-quality research as exemplified, for instance, in publications in high-impact factor journals. And we have recently had many cases of evidence that we really are on the right track in this sense. For instance, the last evaluation by the Ministry of Education and Culture, where they looked at all the 10 business schools in Finland, they actually, in that survey, Hanken was the one with the highest number of international referee journals per faculty member. So we were sort of, yes, and we also had an international evaluation of Hanken connected to this EQUIS when we renewed our EQUIS accreditation. And in that process also the international team that undertook the site visit said that you're strong in research. And we also see in that evaluation report that they have put us according to one of their items above the average as compared to EQUIS business schools in terms of research. And that's a process where we want to on which a line on which we want to continue to strengthen the research, not the quantity but the quality of research. Then we are an international business school. One example of that is that we're the only business school, only university in Finland who has a mandatory study period abroad. All Bachelor of Science students must spend at least 3 months abroad at some foreign university, either by taking courses there or doing some internship in a company. That's also an alternative way to take care of this mandatory period abroad. And now we are at the stage where those students for which this is a mandatory are starting and going abroad. So I think we'll see the consequences of that. We have a lot of bilateral study places abroad, and we try to negotiate them with the best universities abroad. And then a business school in close cooperation with the business sector. I mean, these types of seminars are examples of that. We also have a partnership program where we have Hanken Senior and partners and Hanken Partners, and that program has come very well. It's up and running. And then also the last 2.5 years when there was this funding where all universities in Finland tried to find sponsorship for their universities. Hanken managed very well in that because we got the second largest amount of money from sponsors to Hanken. And being a small business school, losing only to the University of Helsinki in that run for money, that's not a bad situation for Hanken. So you're warmly welcome. This seminar is a very interesting seminar, fits very well into many of the areas, so it fits well in this research aim, strengthen the research at Hanken, but also of course strengthens the cooperation with the industry, and I wish you a very good seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva, and thank you also for all the support that the Hanken has given for this seminar. We appreciate that a lot. Next in the program, we would like to present to you our keynote speaker, Dr. Karl-Heinz Leitner. And he is a senior scientist at the Austrian Institute of Technology, and he works at the Foresight and Policy Development Department. And he is also a contributing author to our book, and that's how we got to know him and know about his very interesting project. It's a European research project, and it's using foresight methods to explore what the future of innovation might look like. So please welcome Karl-Heinz Leitner.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Pernilla. Thank you, Karl-Erik, for the invitation and introduction. Good afternoon also from my side, and it's really a great pleasure to be here to talk to you about the future of innovation in a country, Finland, which is usually ranked among the top European countries regarding their innovation performance, not even in Europe, but even on the globe, so one of the most innovative countries. And the question, how you, for instance, could remain innovative or even become more innovative. So we will talk, or this project is about how we may organize the innovation process in the future, so how the development of new creative products, services, technologies, processes will be organized in the future. The concept of innovation was introduced by an Austrian. In economics, it was Joseph Schumpeter. Most of you have heard about him. He introduced exactly 100 years ago, it was in 1912, the concept and definition of innovation. And he defined innovation as the introduction of a new combination. And he therefore said that innovation is very important for economic and structural change, for economic growth. So his idea was that mainly the entrepreneurs, the technicians, researchers, mainly in R&D labs, so mainly employees from companies, are pushing forward and pulling forward innovations. He also very interesting already said that innovation, also a very famous quote from him, innovation is a process of creative destruction. So he already pointed out also that innovation has something to do about creation, but it also destroys at the same moment. However, in the last couple of years, we can really observe that his also picture and the perception of how we create and develop innovation has changed. That we see now a more open network, community-based innovations where a lot of actors are involved in the innovation process. And terms like open innovation, user innovation, community innovation. So there are a lot of concepts describing this new phenomenon. So what is, of course, interesting for research is also, okay, we have now so many new concepts and examples how to organize innovation, but there's less, let's say, systematic exploration. What is really the potential of these new innovation models? What are the impacts? What are drawbacks, possibilities, and opportunities? And that's exactly the task, or this was the task, so we were also able to convince the European Commission, so the project was funded within the 7th Framework Program, and it was a rather small project, 4 partners from Austria, 2 from Germany and 1 from Belgium, who worked over a period of 2.5 years, and finally it was finalized last month, this project. So it's a foresight project, and as already said, the question is how we will organize innovation. So one of the questions, what is a new innovation pattern or a new form of innovation? Is, for instance, open source software development something new? Linux, which has its origin to some extent in Finland? Probably not. So, but it is something new if we think about to apply it for a new certain specific sector. So we defined at the end an innovation pattern as novel emerging concepts, ideas, and strategies which are important so far only in specific industries or areas, but may have also a larger impact or potential for future or other areas. How we defined innovation, and that's also what we have observed in our process, that of course the perception of innovation is changing. Karl-Erik already said that everything is considered as innovation. So a working definition would be innovation is the creation of new products, processes, technologies, and services that are accepted by markets, governments, and society. And what we observed also, you will see it also later, is that we also detected a lot of so-called social innovation, organizational innovation. From the methodology, this is a foresight project. I know that you also conduct a lot of foresight projects in Finland, so you probably also are aware that the task of foresight is not really to predict the future, to have a forecast, but the future. The assumption of a foresight project is that by mobilization of interested stakeholders, by discussion among stakeholders, we can understand the forces which shape the likely development of the future. So we combined weak signal scanning, scenario construction, assessment, and the development of visions to explore the future of innovation. So in the first stage, we have looked in magazines, in internet, in internet blogs, newspapers, about 15 different newspapers around the globe. So not only a focus on Europe, but also American, Chinese, South American newspapers. So this was a process of among 6 months, and there we selected and picked up so-called signals of change. We labeled them. So this is our example, how practitioners, how organizations, companies, but also civil society, citizens at the end, organize innovations. So, and this is some, so this was the first stage, this is some selection of these 68 signals or examples of innovation, how we innovate, how very innovative actors, we would say, already innovate. I will not talk to you about all these weak signals. You will later see on, we try to condense them, to cluster them, but also only to give you a few examples. So what we have observed, for instance, we have labeled it here, booming crowdsourcing. What is crowdsourcing? Crowdsourcing means that an organization, it could be a company, but even a government, a public agency, a city, organizes some kind of contest, so it offers like a tender that they hope they have a problem and they want that someone solves this problem. So the crowd, inventors, students, whosoever can join or bid and solve the problems. So we have the example from the White House. We have example of a city who said, okay, bring up ideas how we can save energy in our city. We want to become the most energy efficient city. Large software companies are using crowdsourcing. So a lot of types of this crowdsourcing, so involving a lot of different kind of actors, customers in the innovation process. Another example you found here on this corner, on the right up corner, so that also the location where innovation happens is very important. So some of you may know MindLab, so that's also an institutional facility in Copenhagen to support also innovation in the public sector. So there's this trend to organize so-called camps. So these are called boot camps, bar camps, knowledge camps. So in an extreme sense, you gather a lot of people, very different people, you lock them in probably in a castle, and then they work together. So students, lawyers, investors, business angels, and really develop new ideas and creative innovations. And I know also that last year, for instance, University of Aalto has also organized such a camp, so inviting a lot of different students developing products. So a couple of these ideas. You find here a lot of examples where what is also very interesting, where software, information and communication technology, internet is used to either to select, to produce new ideas, new products. So the internet is searched for new ideas. You use simulation tools to develop new products, to do product testing whatsoever. So a lot of examples also about what we later then also called an automatization of the innovation process. So technology is really used to select, to create ideas. Another ideas, of course, also is this so-called, what we observed also a lot of examples where also consumers, citizens are producing the products by themselves. This is also sometimes called then prosumers, so they produce and consume at the same time. So by Fab Labs, for instance, by designing their own clothes, but also by using, for instance, 3D printing facilities. So there's really a trend that consumers, users are also engaged not only in creation, but also in the production of new products. And some visions are also that in the future, households are producing a lot of products by their own, let's say in very small Fab Labs or very small facilities. And to conclude, here, for instance, pick out a couple of visions here or signals. For instance, low-cost car produced in India. So this was one idea that Tata Nano is, most of you will know it, this small car which costs only about 1,500 euro, which really is targeted for the emerging countries, for very low-income countries. So what we observed are a lot of examples, of course, that in the China, India, Asia, Africa, of course, that these countries are also becoming more and more innovative. And they are using very often different models also how to be innovative. So this was just a selection, and what we have done then is making out of these 68 examples of how we can organize innovation. We tried to condense them, to select them. We used 3 principles. The first was we transferred an idea to another sector. So if you have observed a trend in one sector, you can think about, can we have this trend or this model, can this be also used in another industry or sector? We generalize the idea to some extent so that it becomes a mainstream practice. Also, we radicalized an idea. So, for instance, we can think about that users are not only involved in a very specific industry, but that even the whole innovation process is totally externalized. So companies at the end are more or less not creating by themselves, but use crowds or whatsoever to be innovative. So we try to amplify them, to make them more strength, and therefore also probably make them more innovative or also more provocative. So this is then one of the outcomes, of the main outcomes of the project. We have developed these so-called innovation visions. So these were 20 innovation visions. How in the future, not only in a very specific sector or industry or area, but really in more general trends, we mean industry, economy, but also the society will innovate. So you see also on the first line, on the first row, a lot of innovation concepts or innovation visions where more or less the customers, the users are incorporated in the innovation process, and products, for instance, what we called here is negotiation. So we think about what if innovation become publicly negotiated. So let's think that we select and negotiate here what we should develop in the future. So we do some kind of polls or votings, what companies should develop in the future. So that's what we labeled that negotiation. We had an idea about innovation on request. What if companies generated innovations from user communities? So you use more and more these communities to create new ideas. We had also two visions about what we labeled, for instance, create it yourself. So this idea that what if people produced products themselves in fabrication laboratories? So think about the future where more and more people have their small fabrication, their garage, where they produce some specific products by themselves, because we have the technologies, which has, of course, tremendous implications for traditional manufacturers. We have a more radical innovation in that sense, what we labeled as open source society. So think about that, what if open source development became an all-encompassing innovation pattern? So we don't have intellectual property rights, and let's say we adopt the idea which Linux or Linus Torvald have adopted, we adopt it to many different industries. And what we can observe, of course, already now in many industries, that indeed software developing and patents for software developing are becoming less important. And we observed, for instance, an example. It was called OSCAR, the open source car. So that already really in many other industries, people try to use this open source software principle to develop products. So OSCAR was an example of the UK, where now for 3 years, a lot of different designers, engineers, but also everyone who may or want to drive a car also is involved in developing a new car for very specific mobility demands. Innovation camps, so as already told you that a lot of location is very important. We have picked out these three so-called more innovation, what we call Darwin innovation or web-extracted innovation, where we adopted the idea that internet information and communication technology is used more extensively to develop new products. And for instance, we can think about, when we look at this web-extracted innovation, what if we scanned the internet for ideas and automatically picked the best ones? So we use web crawlers to look for ideas in the internet and pick out and filter out the ideas. Or the technology is used to create randomly new products. Of course, you see already when we discuss this has advantages, possibilities, but of course it has also probably some negative consequences, what Karl-Erik says, unintended negative consequences. So probably there's really a dependency also on technology. One of my, I would say, really favorites, and that's also what we discussed together here, was this called no innovation. So there is obviously really a tendency to be even more innovative, to hold on the pace of innovation. And what is labeled, what we have labeled as innovation imperative, so that's what we have discussed. But we also found, more interestingly, that some companies obviously try to go a little bit step to go out of this very harsh innovation competition. So they even tried not to innovate. And we had some examples, and one firms, for instance, who had an advertising where they said, we are very proud that we haven't changed our product for 70 years. So obviously innovation is not the solution for every problem. And probably in the future also some companies will innovate less or will have innovate in other directions in order to escape a bit this very harsh competition. So we also have said then, what if innovation fatigue took over and no innovation was on vogue? So that we probably innovate too much and at the end, at least some industry collapse. So virtual-only innovation, as said, and here again, for instance, these two examples, 90% innovation and city-driven innovation. So I also do not want to go in depth in all of the innovation visions, but what you found also that the future is, of course, we will have very different innovation visions and models. I don't think that we will see only one of these visions in the future, but the future is very multifaceted, and I suppose that we will see a lot of different models in the future. So to pick out only just some of the visions, so we said, for instance, innovation on request. So the idea is, what if companies generate most innovation on special requests from user communities? Communities of users develop together with sociologists, designers, and developers innovations and sell them to companies. So I wanted explicitly only to introduce this vision because this vision was also, we also have evaluated some of the visions, and you are then also afterwards, there's a small poll or voting exercise where you can also choose among your favorites regarding these innovation visions. So this was one innovation on request. The other one was innovation campus. As already said, we had found some examples, for instance, Minatech Research Lab, that's in Grenoble, a location where nanotech researchers together with designers and different kind of users, companies are working together in a lab trying to produce and develop new products. So the location, the facility, the fab is very important. And we can think about also that what if companies would collaborate in joint innovation places, much more than in the past. And you found here probably Volkswagen and Nokia is collaborating for what product whatsoever. So innovation laboratories are hosting ranges of developers detached from their companies to take part to joint innovation programs. So they have a new environment really to develop new products. So that's what we labeled as innovation campus. Innovation meets education. What we also found is, of course, a lot of examples that the education even in the first school, even in the kindergarten, starts becoming more and more important. And nations and policies doing a lot to raise innovativeness. So what if innovation skills would be high on the education agenda right from the kindergarten or kindergarten? So children are motivated to maintain their discovery spirits, and innovation becomes something that is thought as a matter of course, just like the ABC. I'm not sure whether we really should do this, but this is an intention. We see a lot of examples that also policy, other countries are putting innovation very high on the agenda, and it already starts in the kindergarten. So if you so like, this is one precondition to move on to an innovation society with all its possible unintended consequences. Relocated innovation. Where are the hotspots of innovation nowadays? Still, of course, Finland, but I think also you have tough new competitors overseas or in Asia. And we even have thought about, can we think that the West adopts the role of a follower and has to face products primarily designed for the different cultural contexts? So we are more or less only adapting products, Western companies wishfully look to Asia, often with the help of industrial espionage, and creative people migrate to the new innovation hotspots in Asia and send back their money home to the US or Europe. So vice versa. And I think in some industry, really indeed, we see a lot of boom also, and these countries also attract, of course, money and also talent, creative talent. So this was one vision, of course, particularly when we present them amongst European Commission policymakers. Of course, they get a little bit smaller in their chairs, but I think that's a challenge, and we have to cope with this. And another, I think, very interesting vision is also what we labeled as 90% innovation. Innovation researchers also labeled this as bottom of the pyramid innovation. So there are a lot of huge markets, Africa, poor countries, who also want and deserve products. But if you want to enter these markets, you need very specific products. You cannot you need very often to develop very simple products. So we are in our society with our over-engineering and over-engineered products with a lot of product features often have problems to enter such markets. And so far, for instance, Indian companies or company from these emerging markets are very successfully. So we have this idea, what if innovation was primarily directed at the other 90% of the world population living in poverty? And the last vision I want to share with you is this so-called waste-based innovation. We all, of course, are very familiar and aware about the need to reduce waste, to save energy, to save resources. And there are also some ideas how we can do this. One is, of course, use waste. So everything what is used for something is part of making something new. So nothing is destroyed or wasted. Everything is used again. And this principle is also called cradle to cradle. So everything is designed again or is used for another components. And so we labeled this vision as waste-based innovations. And there are already cities like Venlo in the Netherlands or companies who try to enable such a development. So these were some selection. What we have done in the next stage, I only want to briefly describe. We have then consolidated some of the visions more on. We selected some visions. We conducted an online poll. We discussed it in the first stage with 20 experts, and then we organized some called mini panels across Europe. So in 8 panels where we involved in total about 100 people, researchers, management consultants, company representatives, users, very young students also, to debate about 8 selected visions. So what are also experiences, what are opportunities and risks? So you found here a location, the most northerly one was in Vilnius, and here we had one in Copenhagen. So what have been the outcome? I would like to, in my final part now, present you some of the, if you so like, underlying tendencies or trends. So these are, if you so like, the underlying forces between all these different kind of innovation visions. So the common trends, and we can see that every factor has some opportunities, but of course at the same time some risks. So the one is, we found that new forms of coordination and mediation become more important. So the role of markets as mediators is losing relevance to some extent, and these new communities are gaining importance. So as company, for instance, you have to initiate self-organizational processes. You have to open your company to involve different kind of users, which is sometimes could be also, of course, a danger. The second main trend is the increasing participation. As already said, a lot of users, citizens, customers are involved in the innovation process. However, what we also discussed is that probably too much participation could also lead to a slowing down of the innovation process, and in some instances also lead only to lukewarm solutions. So you only are able to develop a compromise or a consensual solution if too many people are voting or are developing together. So this is a negative or let's say an unintended consequence. The third is the motivation of innovation. So profit as the main driver is being challenged. So people want to really achieve new things. They want to have a better life and not only maximize profit. For companies, this means, for instance, to develop new business models. The fourth trend is this eco-innovation. So there's really a trend that people want to have more, Karl-Erik said it, green innovation. So people really want to have more environmentally friendly products. And therefore they think also we have to organize the process differently. We have to involve more people. So this was really a strong power. People are not satisfied with the solution, let's say, from industry, and therefore develop new concepts, mobility services, technologies to save energy. Again, we also found that it's not necessarily true that if you just generate and collect a lot of people within a room, that necessarily you generate sustainable innovations. The fifth trend is use of technology and software, so we really will see an automatization, mechanization, if you so like, of the innovation process with a lot of consequences, also problematic consequences. So what remains, or what happens then really with true human creativity, with data security. And the sixth trend is, as already said, we are obviously heading towards an innovation society. But on the other hand, we see a lot of more burnouts. People are not able to cope with the pace. Do we want to have this? I think that's also a topic today. And the last trend is this regional shifts of innovation. So on the one hand, innovation is more localized to produce local, very innovative solution. On the other hand, we have this global challenge, new emerging markets. So these were very briefly, if you so like, the 7 main trends underlying or beneath these 20 innovation visions. So at the end, I would say that we all can shape the direction of development of the future of innovation. So we all companies should probably also rethink to some extent their innovation strategies. It's more not only to generate profits, but also to meet societal and ecological needs. Citizens and consumers should become part and could shape the development, and of course also policy is needed to serve here, for instance, as a mediator, a system integrator, to guide the direction also by demand-side policies. So at the end, there's much more participation. At the same time, there's more need for coordination, and also probably more need to think more creatively and reflectively about the future. And so I would suggest we all, and you all, are invited to participate and join this common and future innovation journey. So if you want to have more information, you can here download also some papers, also some very nice videos and trailers. You find more information about on this www.innovation-futures.org. And so thank you very much for your attention.
These very interesting insights into the foresight into the future. We have time for maybe 1 or 2 questions. Anyone?
Nobody wants to start.
No questions? Yes?
Thank you, Karl-Erik. Can I ask?
Karl-Heinz.
Oh, sorry, Karl-Heinz.
Sorry.
Can I just ask, if I was a member of a government,
Yeah.
what are the 3 things you would suggest that I take away from this report and try and develop in policy terms?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one is, I think, really this addressing, that's also what, for instance, the European Commission, but I suppose also the Finnish government is doing. You should try to direct the direction of development. So this was labeled as grand challenges. So you really see in which direction people should innovate. And for instance, you promote also only R&D or innovation if certain topics or themes are addressed. So I would say this is orientation. The second, I would say that, of course, you should enable also this participation. So in traditional research and innovation promotion funds, you should also enable that wider levels of participation is possible, so that even laymen, citizens, different kind of groups can also take part of within this innovation process. And the third, still I think that this role of, I think we cannot afford or cannot think that just self-organization and bottom-up innovation will solve all the problems. We still need some kind of, whether you call it regulation, standardization is very important. And also you need some kind of system integrator. So you have to bring together people from different locations to develop then a product which probably also serves the global demand. And therefore I think it's still a very important role to be fulfilled or taken up by a policymaker.
One more question.
Thank you. Hello. Yeah. Thank you for the very nice presentation. Which of these 20 possibilities or 8 consolidated visions that you presented do you think will apply for Finland in future? Would you like to say any of these in particular will have more relevance for Finland compared to the others?
I have to flash back. I think for Finland, of course, this innovation imperative, I think we are really a very innovative country, and I think this is very relevant to think about. You are already very innovative. To what extent do you want to be more innovative, and in which direction? I think for Finland, also knowing a bit the industry, Nokia, but I know also you have a very strong software industry. I think this is a huge potential, everything where you can use technologies to automatize innovation process, to filter out, to use web crawlers. So I think this vision, what we called Darwin's innovation, web extracted innovation, virtual only innovation is very relevant. So, and I think also that you are a forerunner in behaving environmentally. You found here a lot of boxes how you can separate your waste. So I think this waste-based innovation has also some potential. So I would say these 3 or 4 visions are very particularly relevant for Finland. I know that you use a lot of user communities, you have Linux, etc. So I'm not so sure whether this is really new for your country, but I think that these are very relevant for Finland, I would say.
Thank you, Karl-Heinz. I'm afraid that's all we have time for. Thank you. Here is Thank you.
Thank you, Karl-Erik. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You need that one. Thank you. Okay, as we wanted this to be also an interactive event, we have chosen the three visions from Karl-Heinz research that that were selected among the most desirable ones with the experts that were interviewed or surveyed in the second phase of the research. So these 3 were the most desirable ones, and you now have the option to vote which one you think is the most desirable vision. And you can do that if you have a smartphone. You can do it by logging into pollev.com/Hanken, or you can send a text message to this number, sending one of these codes. This poll will be open now for half an hour. We have a coffee served outside. You can place your vote, and we will look at the results when we get back in. So thank you very much.